Welcome to Butter Up. It's the Jazzy Butter Up Show, starring me, Sara Liss, your host, cookbook author of Miami Cooks, and we are discussing the food, news, trends, gossip of the Miami restaurant scene and wherever else it takes us. We might talk about politics. We might talk about what it takes to be a rock star. You never know. I have here with me one of my favorite culinary powerhouse couples of Miami. You guys are couple goals, you guys are restaurant goals, you are hospitality goals. You're just goals, both of you. I love you guys. And you actually were featured in my cookbook, Miami Cooks. Let's pull up your page right here. Fabulous. And we've known each other for a while, haven't we?
Well, particularly with
Klime. Yes. Okay. Well, I will introduce my guests. Actually, we're very informal here. We just kind of get right into it. So I have with me today the duo behind Crust Miami, one of the most successful restaurants in Miami, and we have here chef owner Klime Kovaceski and his wife Anita. Beautiful. And we are here with a bevy of delicious food. I said to them, you know what, guys, bring some food. Maybe we'll eat and we'll chat. And of course, they crusted it up, which has brought basically like half the menu. This is even half the menu. This is like a third of the menu. This is like 1/8 of the menu. Are these the most popular items from the restaurant?
Well, the reason why we choose this is I do want you to see how most of our business now is a takeout delivery, over 50%.
Sure.
And then I want you to have some items that they're most popular, which is our parmesans there. So for you to see how
gorgeous
it tastes actually in a box.
I'm going to start
those
eating.
Those boxes, they're not full like this for you. Mm-hmm. They're actually as full as every day. So you have lots of food there, and that's part of the reason why we do so well.
This is ziti, baked ziti with a marinara sauce.
Yeah. The penne pasta, and that is your meatball parmesan, which is the beef and turkey.
And
no
then
pork there.
Yes, and we've got delicious pizza. Now, pizza is like what percentage of your business at this point?
You see, when the pandemic started, the pizza obviously sales went up, and
right.
But pizza used to be around 20% of our sale, and now it's about 35. So which also shows you that Crust is not only a pizza place,
right?
It is also Italian restaurant.
It's an Italian restaurant. It's a family restaurant. It's a neighborhood restaurant. It's a destination. Let's get into it. Okay, so I asked you guys, this was great. I asked Anita to send me the list of awards you guys have gotten, because I know every day I get a new email from you guys about some new accolade that you have. And it was so great printing this out. It was like getting the receipt from CVS. It just kept going and going and going. It just was like it was just like in 2017 and 2019 and 2020. So you guys are probably one of the most awarded restaurants, I would say, in Miami, because when you opened in 2015, I think, you guys started out with this very, I want to say, humble vision of what it was going to be, right? It was going to be, you had a fine dining upscale background. If people remember the very famous Crystal Cafe in Miami Beach on 41st Street, that was there for how long?
10 years.
10 years, and, very white tablecloth, very kind of like, we will say like fancy food. And then, then you had a lot of consulting businesses after that. And then you did Trio on the Bay, which was a huge restaurant on 79th Street. So you had been considered this fine dining chef. And when you guys invited me to Crust in that like first week of opening back in 2015, I thought, this is a pivot. As we know, pivot is such a common word these days, but this was a different turn for you, because you had been I had considered you like an upscale chef, and this was going to be more of, you told me right away, this is a neighborhood restaurant. I want to just make food for the people who live in all these buildings. You're right on the Miami River. Right, what's the neighborhood? It's Miami River.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just
and by Casablanca, Garcia, Sea Spice, and
Kiki,
on the
right?
river.
Which at the time there was only maybe Sea Spice,
right.
and Casablanca's, but. Yeah. So when you guys open, I thought, wow, okay. I mean, it's a cute place, and I hope they do well, and I love them, and I know Klime's talented, and I know that he could put out a great dish of food, and hopefully they'll have a lot of neighborhood people come by, and then wow, it just exploded. I mean, year after year, you guys got like TripAdvisor #1 restaurant. I mean, okay, so let's just talk about all the different awards. Here we have voted Miami's #1 restaurant on TripAdvisor in 2015, so the first year that you guys were open. 2016, 2017, 2018, and then highly rated Italian 2019 to 2021, as well as 5-star Traveler Choice Awards. And then you have in 2016 Miami Herald's esteemed 2016 South Florida Food 50 honorees. I feel like I was in that one too for Saffron Supper Club, right? Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, that was a great one. And then this was a big deal. In 2017, you had a full-page story in the Wall Street Journal, which you later discovered some business schools use this article as a case study for their students. And you know this because one of the students came to Crust specifically from New York to visit the restaurant after having read the article.
That's right.
And you even had someone, a fan, mail you from jail.
That's correct.
Who read the article.
So it just goes to show the breadth and
the Wall Street Journal. Right. So this article highlighted you guys as basically honing in on the fact that in such a competitive industry, the restaurant industry, you guys were able to succeed, and they wanted to kind of understand your formula for success. This was the point of the article.
Martha actually and I spent between 20, and she was Miami Herald writer too before that, but we spent over 20 hours, probably 25 to 30, on many meetings about it. So she went on with, originally she wanted to talk to me because she discovered my background as a consultant.
Okay.
And then she changed her mind. She wanted to involve a bunch of other consultants. She changed her mind, and she wanted to do, okay, this is the restaurant. She wanted to kind of figure out how did we do it. And my approach to that was, and even today, it's, I'm not talking right now to chefs. I'm not talking to my customers that can come to eat at Crust.
Don't mind me while I eat all this delicious
chefs
food,
don't
guys.
really care about what I'm going to say anyways. But
chefs don't care? You think chefs? Well, I think aspiring chefs care what you have to say.
Well, I want to talk to the young people, people who want to succeed.
Right.
And how to do it. And that was the Wall Street Journal, how to make it happen, and also the Pizza Magazine with the journalists. I also spent about 20 hours talking about little details, how it works. Sometimes could be little simplistic. The restaurant industry look much simpler than it is.
Right.
A couple of servers, couple of cooks, open the door.
Well, I think that's the folly that a lot of investors get into when they, especially in Miami, we've seen. And I covered new restaurants for Miami Herald for 10 years. And, it would be funny because I would walk into a place and it would be an out-of-town owner from another country sometimes who's just moved here. They go to Prime 112. They go to Joe's Stone Crab. They see the line out the door for people waiting for tables, and they think, "Wow, Miami's booming. There's so much action. There's so much activity. I'm going to open a restaurant here, and it's going to be great because there's so many tourists and there's so much volume, and basically, you can't go wrong." And then, of course, as we know, those places sometimes close within 6 months.
Right.
Various different reasons why, right? So sometimes absentee owners, the staff gets a lot of turnaround, there's not proper training, there's not proper leadership there, many, many different reasons.
Right. I want to tie up your thing about our awards and how we got there, and because that was not with this project, that was not the goal, any awards or any of that stuff. It was strictly a business and something I wanted Anita to enjoy every day rather than worry that I'm going to be in a magazine. So what happened was, but we were a little bit too early with what we wanted to do. Uber Eats didn't exist because I got impressed by takeout deliveries and late business and things like that. Everything else but fine dining. And that kind of didn't work. And it's a gentleman named Robert who worked for Open Table. I didn't want it Open Table. And he goes, because I said, look, I can run a restaurant with my eyes closed, but I did all my life. I don't want to do Klime, you know how many people they wish they could do that?
You mean you didn't want to get on the reservation platform?
I didn't want it. I didn't want it attention. I didn't want any of that stuff. But what happened was, since the takeout delivery didn't work as much as
At the
I
beginning.
wanted
In the
to,
beginning, right.
Right, and then I had to do what I do.
Then
which
you
is a
guys
restaurant.
decided, okay, so this is, you thought you were going to be 70% takeout,
Right.
30% dine-in.
Correct.
Yep.
That's why your actual dining room is pretty small. How many
That's
seats
correct.
do you have?
You know, well, right now it's a lot more. We have outside seating, but we started with 50.
50
So,
seats, yeah.
So, but it's the
And then quickly it flip-flopped. It became 70% dine-in,
80%.
80% dine-in, and then the takeout
That's
was 20%.
And it took me about, to tell you the truth, in the beginning it didn't work out because I had some other people working, so I went back to the kitchen and okay, let's do it again, all over again in a restaurant. And that's how those awards, they come about, not because we wanted to, because I had to do a restaurant again.
Okay.
You know, and then
Did you intend when you first opened that you were going to be in the kitchen all the time, or were you
absolutely not.
Yeah, okay, you thought, I'm setting this up, I have great recipes,
Right.
I have great systems,
Right.
and I'm going to hire a
Right.
great, person to manage it. And was Anita always going to be front of the house? Was that your intention?
I naively got into the restaurant.
So naive.
Naively, I came from corporate. Klime,
You were
I
in
thought,
advertising.
40 plus years in the industry as a chef, as an owner, and as a consultant.
Sure.
And so I went in there thinking, he'll work it out. He knows what he's doing. So
Yeah.
I naively, when he said, look, I can live without a restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
I can have a restaurant. I've been there. I've done that. But I can also live without one
Mm-hmm.
and just be an employee.
Okay.
And it just so happened that we thought, let's open one up. So
Mm-hmm.
we invested. It took almost a year to remodel the
Mm-hmm. Right.
premises that we had. I assumed once I opened the doors, I'm going to start making money.
Okay.
That was not the case.
No.
So
Well, generally
we're in the
it
red
takes a
for
while.
6 months,
Yeah.
inputting our own funds and everything. So it
Mm-hmm.
was really, for me, personally demoralizing for
Sure.
a long time, thinking, what did I get myself into?
Right.
But being there and putting on a brave face and, having 3-4 tables a night and just
Mm-hmm.
thinking, wow.
So what happened? When did the switch come? When do you feel like things turned around for you guys? Did you start focusing on your social media and those sites, or was it just
This
fortuitous?
Very first few days when we opened up. So, when I said I was not in the kitchen, I was not physically cooking every day in the kitchen back then, but I was in the kitchen. And then she comes there, she cries. The very first few days. And I said, what happened? And she goes, customer left. And your servers, they asked me to do something on a computer, and I was not there to say goodbye to them.
Oh.
And then I said, okay, I got it. I got it.
No,
So
I care for that a lot to
then
this
I
day.
Then I realized, she understands hospitality. And that's why at this point, Grass is 60-40, which means she's 60 and 40. But it switched kind of with the thing of understanding that nobody can come in close to her, in my opinion, how to treat people, because she treats people not like in a restaurant,
Right.
like at home.
She treats them.
She's a daughter of a priest, and she knows, well, you come like home. So, but at the switch, again, with realizing how well she can do this, and then I was totally impressed and surprised that our customers did support us in a location which was not very hot back then. And number two, the parking. I said, who is going to pay for a pizza place, a valet for valet to,
Right.
But before you know,
How much is your valet?
Right? It used to be $5.
Yeah.
Now it's 10.
Okay. Oof.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. But
If you park on the street, usually it ends up being
Right.
that.
So, but we don't need us very quickly to start making friends with all these developers, all these people, this and that, and before you know it, it's out to a restaurant. So that's
Okay. So Anita had no background in hospitality, was just a really lovely woman, actually, and just had some kind of instinct for it. Does that?
I guess
Makes
so.
sense.
I'm also come from a advertising and marketing background where I would have, 100 projects at the same time going through, and everything laid with me to make it happen, whether I deal with the creatives, whether I deal with production,
Okay.
dealing with the clients. So all of
wrangling
those
a lot of
tools-
different teams and
Yes,
people,
yes.
which is what
So
a
I
restaurant
think
business
that's
is.
correct. So
Yeah.
you've got to be on top of it. So you will see me now in an ordinary day. I'm not just, I'm an actual working owner. Klime and I are working owners.
Right.
Klime's in the kitchen. I'm at the front of house, not sitting at the bar having a glass of wine with my guests. I'm there to greet, to work reservations. I'm there, you know.
You're there to shaking hands, kissing babies. I think that is the formula, honestly.
Bussing tables,
yeah.
starting tables when we need to, helping as a cashier, packing food, and to be honest, I really believe that the guests really see that and respect that.
Sure.
That you lead by example.
Honestly, after this year, the restaurants that have shown that they are family-owned businesses are the ones that really stick with you. I do believe that people care now about keeping, family-owned businesses afloat and wanting to support those. So you guys, to me, have always been the epitome of that. To people who I see work on a daily basis at the restaurant. But what's great about you two is that you work hard and you play hard, which I love, because I follow you guys on social media, and on your days off, you go out. You
We
guys
do.
love to go out. You love to check out the new restaurants. You have a great time. You're happy to support your neighbors and your local restaurants. I've seen you at Kiki on the River, which is just down the street
Yes,
from
we
you.
were at Sea Spice a couple of weeks ago.
There you go. I mean,
Garcia's and Casablanca.
you're always
we've been
trying
over
new
time.
places, always giving a chance to someone new who's come on the horizon. So I feel that you guys are also such a great part of the community here, part of the fabric of dining out, being customers yourselves, and at the same time serving the clientele.
Since the Crystal days, when people are still remembering as being part of the community, I have this big thing about the money are good, the lifestyle is good, everything else, pictures are good, the TVs are good, the shows are good, but having people there spending their important days, and seeing their faces, and making understand that you have a couple of hundred people, they're going to come, they're going to be happy there. So you have this incredible feeling of you're making a difference, in people's life.
Yeah, to be the place where someone celebrates their anniversary or graduation, or have you guys had any marriage proposals at the restaurant? Are there any?
Well, I've been picked up a few times by some of my guests.
You've been picked
Not
up.
knowing that I'm the owner.
Oh.
And not knowing that Klime is my husband. So when they've asked me on a date, I
Yeah.
said, you need to check with the chef.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's happened. Then my husband will see me constantly hugging men, and he'll be saying, who's she hugging now? So
She's just such a good pro. She knows how to hug, She's a good hugger.
Yeah, that was a hug.
I
When
missed the
pandemic
hugs,
come,
and they
that was
started
hard.
coming
Yeah,
back.
now it's
so-
like a fist bump, an elbow
No,
bump.
admittedly, in the last, maybe there's been a shift now in the last month. I got rid of my mask a week ago.
Yeah.
And it has been life-changing not
Sure.
to have to work in a muffled voice for over
I can
a
imagine.
year. And just,
To be able to smile again and emote.
I've been smiling
and-
under my
yeah.
mask the whole time, but
Yeah.
it's just very, very, just life-changing. Honestly, such a small thing
I'm
has made
sure.
such a big difference.
Yeah, and for
And the
guests to
hugging
be
is
able
back,
to see
and the
that.
elderly people come in, and Anita, and they'll hug you, so there's a lot more comfort out there.
Yeah.
Now, so it's good to
hospitality
see.
was
Good to
always
see.
there, but hospitality can fully thrive right
Yeah.
now. It's
Klime's got absolutely, and we don't take those things lightheartedly. When people choose holidays, Mother's Day, Father's Day, birthday occasions, anniversaries to come to
sure,
us.
it's an honor.
And particularly, there's one thing I want to say is that we're one of the probably, I don't know how many other restaurants, but we want to make sure we always honor on-time reservations. So we're very rarely, when people make reservations, very, very, very rarely will a guest need to wait for their reservation. If
Right.
they make one at 8:30, that table is ready for 8:30.
But what do you do if you haven't turned the table? And how does it work? Like do you guys somehow work it out that you're not overbooked?
She always have a spare. We have lots of tricks. Some of them we know.
Yeah, I want to hear the tricks. Everyone wants to hear the tricks. That's why they're tuning in for the
She have
tricks.
a table too that she keeps them for VIPs.
For
or
VIPs,
emergencies.
for like
Not even
me
VIPs,
when I come in.
it's mostly for me. It's not about VIPs. For me, my recipe for success has been to be consistent with everyone that I can, and that's been the reason why everyone will say that Anita, she treats you like you're the only guest, and she'll treat you like you're the most important person, because I really care for people that spend their money, that drive to our destination restaurant, that get dressed up. So that's very important for me regardless of who it is. Now, of course, you're going to have some relationships where you end up over time building better relationships with people. You click with certain people,
Right.
you know. But going back to special holidays, I will make sure I will never overbook a restaurant
Okay.
on a holiday, because
Yeah.
I don't want to be that restaurant that was late with the food or that had to wait for the table. I want
Right.
there to be good memories that people will remember. Hey, that's where we went
Yeah.
last Mother's
Like
Day
that-
and had a great time.
The
People remember how you make them feel.
100%.
That's what they remember.
Yeah.
The typical. I want to just say a word about people who want to support neighborhood restaurant, which you mentioned earlier. So, when the pandemic came down, it was unbelievable. The first few days we made more money daily than when the restaurant was open.
You're
People
talking
would
about
come-
in March when the quarantine.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
last
the first few days.
Okay.
I thought he's going to be my manager and Anita there, and then we start calling people to work as a cashier. So, but the point is that our people, our customers, which they are absolutely loyal customers, so they would come, they would tip extra,
Right.
they would thank us to stay open. So it was two-way street with us serving them and take a little risk, but then them supporting us. It was just terrific, you know.
Are you guys facing any of the labor shortages that they're talking about these days? And it's a very hot topic in the hospitality industry.
That one
I,
is-
so I hadn't up until this time started taking tables. You know, that's the one thing I didn't do. But
You
now
were not
started-
actual server, right?
No, I was
Yeah.
not. But I'm not even a server now. But I've taken a few tables, and I'm really proud. I thought, okay, now I've gone the whole hog, and then
it
hands
is-
over to
it
the
is
servers.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
I posted on my Facebook. I said, I will never leave America for anybody or anything unless it turns to a socialist mess. You know, so it's been unbelievable how difficult it is to get people to work now these days. You know, and
So is Crust hiring?
was that?
Are you
Oh,
hiring?
yeah.
Hiring.
They're hiring,
Every day.
guys. All positions?
All positions.
All positions.
Yeah, but it was incredible.
Wait, you have a few new concepts that are coming? Can we talk about them?
Yes,
Sure.
yeah,
What's
yeah.
happening?
They're in the
Yeah.
pipeline.
They're in
Yeah.
the pipeline. Well, I want to
Right,
hear.
Right. So
This is
the-
where
the-
people
the-
come for all their food,
well,
news, and gossip. So.
The Crust to Go project, which is pretty much ready to go, it did happen just because of people will come to take food and they go, can I sit outside to eat?
We had chains on all the chairs
Okay.
outside,
You
by
know,
the
can I
way.
eat outside? And I said, look, I'm not gonna ask my staff to serve you. He goes, no, I don't.
They just want to eat the takeout.
Just they want to eat from the box.
Rather than in
From
their
this
car.
magnificent box of
Right.
deliciousness.
Right. So
This is one portion of food.
Yes.
Yeah.
Incredible.
$22. What is
You
it?
guys.
Both
Yes.
of them. So when you order
But this would feed. I have 3 kids and
That's right.
and a husband.
That's right.
This would probably feed them with like a salad on the side and these amazing garlic rolls.
Yes.
This would
Yeah.
probably be it
Yes.
for
Right.
dinner.
or medium
Need
appetites.
to
Yes.
share
well,
your garlic roll.
You
Well,
know,
that's why we were so successful in during the pandemic to be able to keep our doors open for delivery and takeout.
Right.
Purely for the portion size, it was well worth it for
So
people.
the Crust to Go concept. So what it is, it is essentially. You've been to Steve's Pizza, right?
Up in North Miami Beach. Yeah, North Miami by
I know
me.
them
Yeah.
for decades since the Jamboree, since
I haven't been in a while, but the
right.
the slices are still giant.
Well, yes, but the thing is, when you go there, they will give you in a bag your food. You order something, salad, they're
The
gonna give you in
pizza.
a bag.
Okay.
Then there's no plates there,
Okay.
and you take your bag and you go to the chairs,
Right.
to the tables,
Oh, inside.
inside.
Okay.
Inside or on a patio.
Okay.
So they don't serve anything on a plate.
Okay.
Anyways, it's a Crust to Go. It's a fancy thing of that, which
Mm-hmm.
means you're gonna say Saturday night, 8:00. I wanted to have, surf and turf pizza and a meatball parmesan, 8:00. So when you're gonna come on Saturday, you can order 30 days in advance.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Through our
Anytime,
website. Oh, cool.
anytime. And you come there 8:00. They're gonna give you a box and they're gonna give you a bag.
Okay.
And then you take that food to the table,
And you can picnic.
outside table, or take it home, whichever
Right.
way you want it.
Okay.
So if it's inside, we'll have all these stations there with utensils, plates, and everything else.
Right.
So that's the concept of that.
So
you can
you're
order
using the
anything you want.
outdoor seating for that, not
Outside
for.
sitting will be preferable also, both inside and outside.
This is not for crust at the moment. This
Oh.
is if we expand to do a crust to go in
I'm
another
talking about the new
Oh, in
concept.
another location.
in another
okay, I got it.
location.
Okay.
So it
So-
wouldn't
so-
necessarily be a restaurant, but it would
Okay.
be a crust to go where you can order online, And then if you choose to have it in a night casual on a high top inside or outside, you can sit down and eat.
Okay, so you're using, and have you found a space for this, or you're looking?
Well, we're looking for space. A couple of
It's sort of like a ghost kitchen, but not really a ghost kitchen in the sense that it's more like a takeout concept in a pop-up location.
Well, this will look. This will.
You're like no.
This will be your.
Anita's like, no, it's not.
Like your craft restaurant.
She's like, I'm the marketing person, not you.
Not at all.
So just stop with your marketing.
No, we talk about this all the time. That's why it's a little bit clearer for us.
Let's work it out here. Let's work it out, guys. We're gonna workshop it.
It's a small, tiny dining room where people can actually have their food to go and eat there if they wish.
Okay.
But the beauty about this.
So maybe you could open up at a food hall.
I can open up pretty much anywhere, but look, the 80% of the money they need to come from takeout delivery.
Okay.
All right, 80%.
Okay.
So the other 20%, when people they're gonna say, oh, can I eat here? Like in crust in the pandemic time when
can I just take this and eat it? Yeah.
Can I eat there? So you
want to have some tables available for that.
Right.
Okay.
So the thing is, you want to go to a show. You don't want to, before a show, or you want to go to something you're working.
Right.
The thing about it, not waiting online like in Steve's Pizza or have you order
in advance.
Order in advance anytime you wish.
Right.
Tonight for tomorrow.
Yes.
At 7:00, and I can give you the food.
Right. Honestly, I'm only trusting you guys that would work because Miami. I'd be like, I'm going to order this a month in advance for 7 p.m. on a Saturday night. There's no way it's going to work. There's no way. But I trust you guys, and I know that you guys will do it.
It works like a Swiss watch. We're perfect now. It works every day.
Yeah.
People are ordering deferred orders. You can go right
Not
now.
within 30 days, but normally what happens is about a week or so.
A week in advance, whatever it is.
They can. Our system will allow it.
So you can go online now and order for next Saturday.
Right.
At 7:00, you want to pick up any food
and
you
it's
want.
going to be ready at that. You guys just have that.
We plan it, we time it.
It makes sense if you have the right software and you are on it.
Is there, and the other thing is that I built a little infrastructure about that. Crust is a tiny place, but has 10 computers, and Crust has 11 heat lamps. In typical restaurant, you have one heat lamp.
Okay. So it means that you are built for volume in a way.
It's for volume, and everything is, if it's hot, needs to be hot, and it's heat lamps and tables for that. If it's a refrigerator for the salads and desserts, conveniently placed. So I build it up.
Right, and you've kind of worked out how it needs to travel and how it's going to be if it's...
Right, and like at the moment, we lost 12 chairs in the dining room. I built an area where it's a takeout delivery. We build cabinets and dividers and everything else. So that way we can absorb all this and not to interact with the dining room.
Right, okay.
So you have to build it right. It needs to be a little bit of a process.
So you kind of need to think a lot about it.
Well, we've got a separate door to get in, a side door for takeout and delivery. We've got the front door for the dining room. So we try to separate it between the two. There's on-site parking where drivers can just go in and get out.
Right. So when can we take the business course from Anita and Klime about opening our restaurant? Because I kind of feel like you guys should do your own course. This is amazing intel you have.
I mean, there are times when,
everyone's doing online courses these days, guys. I feel like you could
the
really...
wealth of knowledge for Klime. That's where I've learned everything, I mean, it's just unbelievable.
The thing is, when I work for 10 years as a consultant, people will ask me, how I do it, and to do it just the way I do it. I said, listen, let's forget about me for a minute. I don't exist. We need to see who you are and what you can do and what you want to do, and we have to work with that. So the approach about somebody else is doing, let's see what he's doing and learning, it's not really working. So it's the same thing like an employee. You take an employee, and he might be great for certain things in a certain settings, positions, and things like that, but maybe useless in another.
Right.
So, in other words, the consulting thing taught me that there were some jobs I didn't take them because I would, after a little talking, I would say, look, I don't want to do it. And I had a winemaker in California. He wanted me to work on his bistro there, and I said,
Mm-hmm.
"Look, I'm not going to do it because you're the problem."
Mm.
You're the problem. And he goes, "Sure, what should I do?" I said, "Just close it," and he closed the restaurant.
Wow.
So in other words, it is
You
my
customer to customer.
my thing is, yes, maybe someone can use some of my ideas,
Right.
but it still need to be worked in a way that it needs to be our talents and gifts and desires of the individual who is doing it.
I want to talk about these garlic knots because you guys make them in house, right? Is that the case with most pizza places? Do they make them in house? I've always
Yes.
wondered about that.
Yeah, they will do that. They will do that.
Or they're not just
They
like
will do that.
frozen and
Well,
frozen
like
dough.
everything else, some of them they're not as fluffy as.
No, they're amazing. Yeah. Well, the inconsistency shows that you make them in house, right? So they're not like perfect, but
Yeah,
they're
so-
great.
But look,
But I do know that this was very famously featured on a social media account,
Yes.
right?
The Naughty Fork with Samantha
Do you guys-
Slater
Yeah,
and
So
her
let's
friends
talk
Rachel
about the
and-
social media thing
Yeah.
versus the food writer thing, because I know you go way back. So you were back in the day the subject of actual real food critics and food reviews, and we have a mutual friend, Lee Klein, who was the Miami New Times food critic for a very long time. Loved Lee's writing. I thought it was fantastic. Now he is a chef in his own right. Now I feel that there aren't many food critics out there. And everything's shifted to social media. How do you guys feel about that? Is it better for you as a business owner? Are you happier about that? Not relying so much on just one person's opinion that could influence many. So now we have many different voices out there, and they influence much more. Their megaphones are much larger, it seems.
I will, this one is big.
It's a big topic.
It's a big topic, So what happens is, the way I think of that is like is Brian Eno better musician than Steven Wilson today? So the older guy and the new guy.
I just learned
I
today
think
that
about
Klime was like in a rock band in the 90s and plays guitar and has his own music studio. So yeah, let's talk about that.
Yeah, so anyways, it's like that. They're great musicians. So have many friends beside Lee Klein, others, that I personally know, I've dined with them and I know how, how much work and what it means to them. So I'm the beneficiary of the old style of journalism, where I was extremely supported by all of them, and I'm also beneficiary of the new way.
Yeah, it's interesting. You've had
of
both.
the new way,
Yeah.
of the new way where TripAdvisor,
Social media,
Yelp, and
what we call, I guess, peer review or social review sites. So
look, I do very well with all that. I think from some. I must have philosophical differences when somebody, if it's a food critic who is going to base his opinion by himself about a certain restaurant, I totally disagree with it.
Yeah.
But most food critics, people don't know this, most food critics, they also have friends that they dine to restaurants. They also have colleagues. They have so many. So there's so much before they go. Like you used to do for a Herald, you do the first one.
First look.
First
yeah.
look.
Thank you for remembering.
Yeah. So you would do. Many people will be involved in that review, and reviewer will not just based on himself, just like that. Philosophically speaking, the Michael Bauer, Lee Kleins, and William Crimes of the New York Times, and all that. I follow these guys. I read them. I love them. They're brilliant writers.
Frank Bruni, New York Times.
Sure.
Nobody measures up, in my opinion.
Right. So, but I personally prefer when nowadays customers can review restaurants. We disagree with my food critics friends now on that. But
yes,
because
because we're all out of work, basically. But yeah, go on.
But look, and unfortunately, you guys never got paid.
No, we never got paid well either. I got paid
in
in penne pasta is how I got paid.
People think food critics they were just all these rich, spoiled people.
Well, it works out if you start out rich and then you decide you want to be a food critic. That works.
Right, sure.
But it doesn't work any other way.
Yeah, it's a hobby. So, but the thing with the social media is, I mean, of course, there's a downside in everything. Somebody in Alaska can write a review on Yelp for Crass right now.
Right, and they
never
could.
been.
You've never been. So that's a downside.
Have there ever been? I mean, when you guys travel and you go to a new city, how do you guys decide where you're going to eat? You look at
Open
Yelp.
table. Yelp, TripAdvisor, done deal.
That's how you do it. But you kind of like, create sort of like a collage of all these different, because it's so much, honestly. I have to say, it's a bit exhausting. If I'm going to go to New Orleans, like one of the craziest food cities in the world, you guys went there, right? Yeah. I mean, I'm going to go, it's going to be so much to get through. It's going to be hours and hours.
Yeah, that was delicious.
He's John
Shia. Yeah.
John Bash is a famous chef there.
Right.
And I didn't know, even he was not the chef, another chef, they sue each other. So I went in there, but we do that, the top restaurants.
Yeah.
So
you look at Open Table, TripAdvisor, you kind of like match, and then you start to see a theme, or you start to see ones that keep getting mentioned, and that's kind of how you put it together.
Look, I mean, if I feel to something,
he doesn't really do that. I look into that.
Yeah.
If we feel to do a casual or a fancier, or maybe whatever cuisine we like to do, and we're gonna take the top 10 in that particular genre.
Right.
Let's say today with Italian, we're gonna what are the first top 10. So I'm not gonna worry if it's an Asian place on number 1, and I don't feel like going to Asian restaurant today. I care less where it is. I'm gonna go to number 20 because I feel for Italian.
Right.
But look. It's very hard for a restaurant to have over 1,000 reviews, and it's horrible restaurant.
Okay, so
it cannot do it.
Okay.
It cannot happen. So,
based on your experience, you feel that it's a pretty reliable metric for figuring things out.
You don't want to worry about every review.
Right.
You wanna, but if a restaurant.
I mean, in general, I kind of ignore the 1-star reviews. I don't really take those, and I kind of ignore the super effusive 5-star reviews, because a lot of times, so you sort of like try to look for like the middle of the ground reviews.
Kind of like that, and then you look reviewers that they have a bunch of reviewers that has a 40, 50 reviews, not a 1 or 2 reviews.
Right.
So you kind of tries those reviews for most part, and it works pretty well.
Yeah. Do you ever look up like, the New York Times of the city, whatever they wrote, the travel article might be?
No, I don't.
It's cool, guys.
Nowadays, I do. I do. If I want to do like a little, when I dine out there, for most time is work. To be honest with you,
right?
She goes to dine. I go to work.
Because you want to see what
He's
the competition.
Always saying, I don't go out.
Right.
I go out to eat. I'm going for the full kind of atmosphere.
You're going for everything, yeah.
And, and he's like,
so
he's only caring about the food. And service.
Look, service is more important than food.
Yeah.
No question about it. No question about it.
So if you had stellar service and the food was just ho-hum, would you go back to the place?
So, as a consultant, I tell people this. It was a survey by American Express a long time ago, where it was 26% was the food, 25% was the service, 19% there were prices, 15% is the location, and 15% is the ambience. So 26, 25, 19, 15, 15. I can tell you, I've never seen any other better survey than that. It just goes to show you. And then when I do the consulting, people will say, what about this? I said, look, my location, well, if your location doesn't deserve 15%, which means you need to compensate. So which means your prices need to be lower, your service needs to be exceptional, but you need to get 100% for success.
Right.
Just if
so
you
that
don't
was
have
like the old theory was like 30% is your food cost, right? 30% is your fixed cost. Right.
Well, those are the operational costs.
Those are
the operational costs. But what makes the success of the restaurant, the importance of your service, food, ambience, location, and prices.
So you're saying with these percentages, it's like where are you going to put your resources, or how are you going to spend your money?
Well, you need to keep them pretty much there. I can tell you. In my book, it says they said that the service said 26% is the food, 25% service. I'll put them out of it. In my book, I had a famous. An investor for a famous chef in Miami. I'm not going to say the name.
Okay.
And she used to
I'm going to guess.
She needed to come to Chris all the time. She goes, "Don't tell him I like your food better." and she and so it is. And she goes, you know what? As much as I like your food better, you got to remember is the service, because as you know, back then I had another wife, and she was exceptional in that. The only thing is. Anita it's 180 of my ex-wife. Anita is the friendliest person, where the other one was, French and kind of precise.
Which I respect that from Klime, that he has the highest regard for his ex-wife.
Yeah, that's really beautiful.
So, but she taught me this lady who said, look, and you got to remember this. I don't care how good your food is. If a server says to me something wrong, the food will stuck right here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I learned the importance of services because I graduated hotel and restaurant management, not just culinary.
And that was in.
Heritage is, yes.
Okay.
I'm first generation born in Australia. And
Right,
I've been here
okay.
in Miami in the US for 8
Do you guys
years.
have a fun how you met story? Is it a fun story?
She will tell
Can we
this
quickly
stuff.
tell it?
I'm gonna,
We have a Macedonian friend. He's the president of the Macedonian diaspora living in Washington DC,
Okay.
and we're a mutual friend. We met him in Australia. I
Okay.
met him in Australia. My family met him in Australia. Klime and him are friends as well. Klime assisted him with some letter to some congressman back in the day, the Crystal Cafe days. And so my friend wrote an article on Facebook, and I commented on that article, and he noticed my comment and got intrigued.
It's a social media romance? Oh my
Yes.
goodness.
And then he invited me on LinkedIn. He thought I'm going to be a little bit more professional and stalk her on LinkedIn.
LinkedIn really needs to look into that
Yes,
marketing
so
aspect
that is
of
how
meet
we
your
met.
next match
We
on
met.
LinkedIn.
Yeah, and then I thought, okay, he's Macedonian. It's a little bit less creepy. Some random from Miami sending me a link and an invitation. But then we connected on email, and for 5 months we communicated on email. No phone call, no
And you're in
Skype.
Australia?
In Australia, my life, everything there. But just from the first few words, from the first paragraph, it felt real, and I felt it was honest and real, and we just. 5 months, we really got to know each other more than people 20 years.
Right.
And I came on vacation. Klime was on assignment in Rhode Island, in Providence, and I stayed a week, and then continued to Europe on vacation, and then I went back to Australia, and it was the hard decisions. What do I do? So 9 months later, I bit the bullet. I left my career. I left my family. I left my apartment and friends.
Wow.
What do I have to lose? I said, if it doesn't work out, I'll fly back.
Right.
And thankfully, I needed to make the decision to marry him within 3 months.
Oh, wow. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So I was kind of at 80% sure. So I married him being 80% sure. But thankfully, with time, the love grows.
Yeah. I love that.
And,
you guys.
and that's how it happened.
And I promise I'm
Cutest.
going to grow up. She's taller than me. So.
I love you guys.
You know,
So when are you going to open a Macedonian influenced restaurant now?
probably there's a.
Is there something in the pipeline?
Macedonian cuisine is really delicious. Don't get
I mean,
me wrong.
it's just
but
great because you guys are so authentically it's part of your heritage. and
Yeah.
You have some Macedonian wines at Crust.
We don't actually
Okay.
because Klime's got an exclusive.
Okay.
with-
I'm going to say something about the ethnicity thing. And
Okay.
what to do
Yes,
business.
please. Let's talk
As
about that.
As a young chef, when I opened Crystal, I thought the restaurant needs to be a reflection
Of yourself,
of
yeah.
my whatever, and then I was doing all this food because I graduated French cooking, but I
Right.
graduated French cooking.
So it's like continental cuisine is what you were doing?
And I graduated, but in Croatia, Croatia is all Italian. Used to be that part of Croatia was a part of Italy before World War II. So, so my thing was all that Hungarian dishes, all this, all Eastern European and Italian and French. So, and I thought the restaurant should be that. In retrospect, I disagree with it because you might have some of the best Asian restaurant in New York owned by a Jewish person.
Right.
Doesn't have to be that, and that's why I liked my Macedonian thing is I manifested this way. I like to be the best in what I do.
Okay.
So if it's Italian restaurant, I want it to be the best. And if you go to TripAdvisor right now and say best Italian restaurant, Kras will be still number one today. So that's for me a thing.
Right.
Macedonia. If I
Just
did
to
the-
be
do-
excellent in
as far as
what you want to do.
as much
Yes.
as I can,
And to
So
be the
that's how
best
I do that.
representation, because
Right.
every day I have people, where are you from, because of my accent and stuff. So, when they enjoy where they are, and then you tell them, you're Macedonian with a, Australia, born and raised in Australia with a Macedonian heritage, and then that's how you're best representing
Right.
your heritage by what you actually do, rather than serving the
The food,
traditional
yeah.
chebapi or graf, which is
Well,
a traditional
there's-
piperki chilies. So.
There is a lesson that I learned about this. It's not like I thought of this today before I come to the show. 1984, we opened Yugoslavian restaurant in North Miami. It was called Jama. And everybody knows that place for 10 years. It was huge. And then we opened it, and because Yugoslavian restaurants, they do terrific in Europe. In Germany, that particular owner of that restaurant had 2 successful restaurants in Amsterdam. We opened and didn't work at all. So he had a very rich gentleman named Bill Spellman, who was one of the engineers for Apple projects, and he took me to the best restaurants in the city. You know,
this was in Miami?
Right.
Okay.
84. So
What was it then? The Forge?
The Forge,
Yeah.
Place for Steak, Christine Lee's, all these
Oh,
restaurants.
yeah, Christine Lee.
Yeah. Cafe Chevron. And
Was
so
Joe Stone Crab?
Just on
Yeah.
was.
Yeah.
I have whole stories about Joanne.
Okay.
She loved me, but she met Anita met her last year. So, anyways, the thing was, and in 6 months, I turned that restaurant from Yugoslavian, which didn't work at all for American people, and I can talk about for next 36 hours why.
Right.
But then I turned it to Continental back then.
Okay.
So with Continental, La Paloma was in Biscayne was a big restaurant, Continental, and then and it worked for 10 years. And then when I opened Crystal, I didn't bother to change the name, so Crystal Cafe Continental Cuisine. Miami Herald comes, and Jeffrey Tam loved it.
Okay.
And he goes, how weak to call Continental. This is one of the most skillful cooking in Miami. And what I did was, I went to the logo. It says Crystal Cafe. I didn't bother to change the whole canopy, so I put the word New Continental.
Okay.
New Continental.
just to satisfy that.
Right. Yeah. So, anyways, so the story is we're not going to be anytime opening
Okay.
a Macedonian
But
restaurant.
maybe if I come to your house, will you cook me some Macedonian
Oh yeah,
food? I would love to try.
absolutely.
So what else is in the pipeline? There was another concept?
Another concept called Maraschino.
Okay.
Maraschino is a place called in Fort Lauderdale. It's called Louis Bosses on Las Olas.
Yeah, I've heard of
So
that.
if you've been there,
Kind of a red sauce Italian. They have a
it's
big courtyard.
Huge place. It's a huge place, huge operation, where it's it's like a crust on steroids. You know,
Right.
You know,
A few bars
you
and
know,
stuff.
and
A pipeline thing. If there's
part of
interest.
that is because I work in Charlotte with a very successful project. We did over $9 million the first year, and that one was big, 160 employees. So I know a little bigger operations. So I
Right.
want to do it.
Yeah, I know.
You know, so if we're gonna eventually do a maraschino, it will be like that, which will
In Fort Lauderdale?
Oh, no.
I don't have a location for that, but the
Okay.
concept
They're
itself
ideas
will be
for
like
now.
the concept itself will be
Well, you must get approached by investors all the time.
Yes, we do. We do, but the problem, the problem was before the pandemic. So before the pandemic, for 5 years, I was doing the sauté every single dish, every single dish.
And you
that-
can't replicate that.
Well,
necessarily.
here's the story. So every investor, they're gonna go, okay, Klime, so how I'm gonna clone Anita and you?
Right.
Everyone, rightly
All
so.
of them.
So pandemic comes in, and I stop cooking. I turn into my line cook there, and I stop cooking, and
Jumped the line when he got really busy.
but for months and months and several years, every procedure I have in that restaurant was with that goal in mind, to be able to carbon copy every dish. All right, so all the procedures were there already in place to do it. I get rid of so many items from the menu. Your filet mignons, your all these
The lamb chops.
all these things that were that they require.
High cost.
High
right?
cost
Yeah.
and the precision
And,
cooking.
right, exactly.
Right, so
yeah.
I eliminate all that. So the menu is now done, and the procedures are in place. I can train. I mean, before the pandemic, we had a food runner named.
Yeah, we have a food. Before the pandemic, a gentleman came to apply for a position, and we employed him as a food runner. And then the first day he worked, I thought, oh my God, this guy is fantastic. He hustled. He wouldn't stop any opportunity he had. He would clean the shelves. It was just amazing. The pandemic hit, and I said, what are we going to do with such and such to
Juan?
Klime? His
Yeah,
name
yeah,
was
yeah.
Juan. Is Juan. what
I
are
said,
we
I
going
want
to
to
do
try him
with
in
it?
the kitchen.
No. And then, no, he said, well, let's train him as a cashier as well. Front of house trainers, cashiers. And we trained him for 3 days. But then I thought, Klime, my senior servers we have to employ them over Juan. And Klime goes, let me try him in the kitchen, see what I can do with him. Within 2 weeks, Juan was cooking.
Wow.
The other guy left and he was cooking for me.
Right.
So that just
And now
goes to
he's
show
back.
you
We got
Yeah.
them
that
both.
in
When
2
you
weeks-
recognize
in
someone's
2
talent.
Yes.
Right,
Yeah.
but it also my
potential.
procedures are in place now.
Right.
I can have somebody in 2 weeks to be able to replicate to be just as good. You know, I mean, it's a little more complicated than that. I
Right.
mean, I have a prep guy who comes 8 o'clock in the morning. I took him from New River Pizza and Grill since 2012. It's a little more complicated than that. I
Right.
don't want to oversimplify stuff, but I can. I can open class in 30 days and it's up and running. Right now, you know, if I want to.
Across to go more.
Class
Right.
to go or class I can open in 30 days.
Okay. Well,
Right.
in the meantime,
Yeah.
we can get crust at your location, the Miami River.
Yes.
Yep.
Crust to go is also available.
Well, class to go. Right now, you can go to class to go and order will come from class.
Right. Okay.
Right.
Crust
Yes.
to go is
Right.
a future project.
Yeah.
If we do, because what's happening is when are you going to expand? Every time someone comes from interstate, you need to come here. You
Yeah.
need to come there. Crust to go would be something perfect that we could replicate.
Mm-hmm.
A crust restaurant would be harder to replicate because we're the working owners.
Right.
That give that little special extra.
Right.
Crust to go can be replicated in another state if there's an investor, someone interested,
Right.
that we can help set it up.
Okay.
Give them everything, and then be there when we can, you know, or have Klime
And then
check
retire,
in.
guys. I feel like you guys work so hard.
Well, this is the third week now.
Retire and go live on Lake Como.
Well, this is where we're happy that this is actually the third week that we have
Because-
actually
because
decided to
Tuesdays.
close on Tuesdays.
Okay.
But
So-
the good news is we do better in 5 days than 6 days since 2019.
Yeah,
That's
so-
that's
okay.
how good
Yeah,
it is.
we've been-
Interesting.
yeah,
It's
we've been
terrific.
good.
It's just terrific.
Okay.
And that's of course
So
the
this
take out
was
daily.
the actual 2 consecutive days off has been life changing. I mean,
Yeah.
Klime works 7 days because even on the days off, he's there at Crust in his little man cave upstairs playing guitar or doing some orders or whatever
Right.
you know he needs to do. But
Maintenance
having the
repair
two.
or something.
Okay, so here are my lessons. Here are my takeaways. Be Anita if you're going to be front of the house. Have a smile.
Yeah, I have my craziness.
Treat
just so
everyone
you
like
know.
family. Be obsessive, it seems, about the details and about the systems and the operations and
Yes,
think through
that's
every
big.
single thing. And then also just do this if you love it and want to spend all your time doing it because it is going to become your life. And if
Yep.
you don't want it to become your life, then it's the
Sell
wrong
shoes.
business. Exactly.
Sell shoes, do something, not this.
Yes. Okay, well, thank you guys for being on my show.
Thank
I
you,
can't wait to
Sarah.
get the business course coming to a business course near you, hospitality management. And I am going to just sit and eat all this food right now if anyone wants to help me.
Didn't bring the wine.
Oh, I know. We need some. Okay, this has been our episode of Butter Up.
Thank you so much to
Thank you.
everyone. Thanks for
See
joining
you
in.
soon.
Bye.